to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump.
Watching Trump and his little pony get all worked up about the leak regarding man-titties Iran bombing, you have to ask yourself this question. If the leak about the bombing mission isn't true and Trump obliterated the sites in Iran like he and Six-Pack Pete say he did, then why are they so upset about the leak? How can it be a leak if it's not true? Huh, Donnie? Petey?
Given the 30,000 pounds of explosives and capability of those munitions, it was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report, it was preliminary, it was low confidence. All right, so this isn't, you make assessments based on what you know.
And it said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated. So this is a political motive here.
Was there a leak investigation?
Of course. We're doing a leak investigation with the FBI right now because this information is for internal purposes, battle damage assessments, and CNN and others are trying to spin it to make the president look bad when this was an overwhelming success.
All right, guys, you following me here? How can it be a leak if it's not true? I mean, what are they leaking? Are you going to arrest them for fibbing? Can you prove they're lying? But wait, it gets better. Now Trump is going to limit intelligence sharing with members of Congress after, and this is according to the White House, an early assessment of damage caused by the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear sites leaked this week. Which is not only dangerous, I mean, that's why we have House and Senate intelligence committees, so they can assess the dangers and appropriate responses to deal with them. But what's going to happen here, and you knew it, Trump will refuse access to Democrats. And of course, Republicans like Altar Boy here will continue to pursue their dictatorial agenda.
Now, naturally, we've got some Democrats here on Capitol Hill who they have an allergic knee-jerk reaction to anything that President Trump does, no matter how noble and good. And they, of course, are opposed to his latest work to make Americans safer and bring peace in the Middle East, if you can imagine that. Some have even called for his impeachment over this. It's absolutely outrageous. It would be comical if it were not so serious and stupid. Let me be clear, and be as clear as possible. The strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities were clearly within President Trump's Article II powers as Commander-in-Chief. It shouldn't even be in dispute.
Okay, so now who am I to believe? The Defense Intelligence Agency and Israeli assessments, or a senile, oafish, cockwaffle felon?
They had what?
A day-drinking white supremacist whose own mother warned us about him.
On behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say get some help and take an honest look at yourself.
Or Lil Marco with his jellyfish spine and Bible verses.
Don't worry about it, little Marco.
No, Trump and the White House, they're trying to have it both ways. They want you to believe that Trump just ended a 2,000-year-old Middle East conflict with his macho 30,000-pound bombs, but there's a few problems here. Now, here's what's what. A preliminary classified U.S. report says the American bombing of 3 nuclear sites in Iran set back the country's nuclear program by only a few months.
Stated, you know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have, and I'm not referring to you, but real scum come out and write reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the opposite. You should make them heroes and heroines. You should make them really people that they were so devastated when they heard this news. And you know what they said? One of them, I spoke to one of them, said, "Sir, we hit the site. It was perfect. It was dead on," because they don't understand fake news, because they have a normal life, except they have to fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes.
You see, Tiny Finger's mental illness is profound, but his message is clear. He is a dictator, and you must applaud his every action. But the pilots had no choice in this, and his characterization of the pilot, "But sir, we did the best we could," that's not going to be well received. These pilots are tough. Trump, on the other hand, is an obese pig with orange makeup and a traveling hairstylist. The strike sealed off the entrances to 2 of the facilities, but they didn't collapse the underground buildings. Before the attack, U.S. intelligence agencies said that if Iran had tried to rush making a bomb, it was going to take about 3 months. After the U.S. bombing run and days of attacks by Israeli air forces, the report by the Defense Intelligence Agency estimated the program had been delayed by around 6 months. The report also said that much of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium was moved before the strikes, which destroyed little of the nuclear material. Iran may have moved them to some other secret locations, which makes sense. They were flying 125 planes around the world. You don't think Russia might have called them and gave them a heads up? An Israeli official said they also believe the Iranian government had maintained small covert enrichment facilities so it could continue its nuclear program in the event of an attack on the larger facilities. Now, current and former military officials had cautioned before the strike that any effort to destroy the Fordo facility, which is buried more than 250 feet under a mountain, would require waves of airstrikes, with days or even weeks of pounding the same spots. The Defense Intelligence Agency report indicates that the sites were not damaged as much as administration officials hoped, and that Iran retains control of almost all of its nuclear material, meaning that if it decides to make a nuclear weapon, it might be able to do so relatively quickly.
Meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer this.
That's Trump right there. He knows nothing about how to conduct a war. Maybe his bone spurs are acting up.
There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons.
I'm not going to talk about anything from the briefing. I mean, I walk away from that briefing still under the belief that we have not obliterated the program. The president was deliberately misleading the public.
But what's happening here is unique and emblematic of Trump and his pencil-dick posse of mouth-breathing wannabes. Trump fired Mattis and Milley after they refused his unlawful orders, and now he's partitioning Congress into Democrats and people who will kiss his ass. Meanwhile, if the Defense Intelligence reports are right, Iran will have enriched uranium with the capability to make 10 nuclear weapons that can be delivered to U.S. targets via dirty bombs or conceivably through, and this is the latest report, upcoming Pakistani rockets that could reach the U.S. mainland. So will we bomb Pakistan next? While Trump may have had the constitutional right to bomb Iran, all of the reports indicate he failed. But one last time, the real truth didn't squirm out of some subcommittee. It's in the words of Trump and Hegseth. They are, as Shakespeare said, protesting too much. If they were successful, then the leak means nothing, and the days ahead would prove that. And even though I hate Trump, I hope they were successful. Iran has some bad people, but after his thousands of lies and surrounding himself with only yes boys, the truth is clear and terrifying. These are little boys playing with the fate of the world, and what will they do next? They have no fucking idea.
Goddamn right.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Do you have no shame?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.